It's Monday, and that means it's time for a new episode of Interviewing People, the career cast where you can learn about a variety of careers from people actually doing the work. I'm your host, Brian Brott, and today I'll be talking with Tiffini Gallant, who once walked these halls but is now a creative writer for A&E Design in Billings, Montana. Tiffini talks about the path she took to her dream career and stresses it is possible to write for a living. Enjoy the show. Today we have Tiffini Gallant with us, and she is a creative writer with A&E Design in Billings, Montana. And she's going to talk to us a little bit today about her career path and how she ended up where she is. And most people from Van Buren don't end up in Billings, Montana, so I'm really interested to hear how you ended up there. So to start out, I'd love to know, what was it that led you there? And I guess maybe what were your plans after high school? Did those things actually come to fruition or not?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me, Brian. Back in high school, it's a little while away now. I was really, I think, interested in helping people, but I also was very creative. At the time, I was all about writing poetry and being involved in theater and painting and things like that. So I wanted to try and find something that would meld those two worlds together. And somehow I landed on psychology. I don't really remember what went into that, but that took me to Bluffton University for my freshman year. But I had had family out here in Montana. So when I finished my freshman year, I came out on vacation and I just decided not to leave. It's beautiful out here. So a girlfriend and I took a van and drove back over a day to Ohio, picked up all my stuff and headed out west.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize you had gone to Bluffton. So interesting. So as I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and I saw that you started out by earning your associate's degree, and then you continued on and earned a bachelor's degree. One thing I've been talking to students about is that, college doesn't have to just be a four-year degree. There's a lot of other options. So I'd love to hear how you ended up achieving the associate's degree first, then what led you to decide to go ahead and finish your bachelor's degree. What was your thought process and all of that?
Well, by the time I returned to continue my education, I had taken about a 4-year break after Bluffton. And so I used that period of time to really explore a number of different career areas and figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, if you will. So that exploration landed me a job working in admissions for a local university, Montana State University here in Billings, Montana. And in that role, I quickly realized that having a bachelor's degree especially would help me speak the same language as my colleagues, but also better serve students at the university level. And so that didn't solve my problem, though, at the time of not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. But they had this general studies associate's degree program. And what that allowed me to do was complete my general education requirements. I knew those were going to be a part of any degree that I pursued, so I got those out of the way. And of course, a consistent theme that had surfaced over the multiple roles that I had explored up to that time was that I was a decent writer. So I was like, how can I just write and be creative and figure out how that'll fit into a degree program, rather than trying to start another degree program that I wasn't sure would align with what I really loved to do. I think naturally that just led to public relations. It's all about relationship building. Writing is an integral part of being successful in that profession. And I knew that it would help me achieve my career aspirations at that time working at the university.
Now, when you were at the university, it looks like you participated in a work-study program of some kind. Is that correct?
Well, it wasn't work study. I was actually working full-time.
Okay, so it was working there full-time, which I'm assuming then led to some type of discount on your education.
It did, yes. So a lot of institutions offer tuition waivers for their students. And so coming at it from a non-traditional perspective. At that time, I wasn't a traditional student anymore. So I was looking for affordability, but something that would also allow me to continue my career. And you'll see a lot of students have access to online education like never before 15 years ago. And so that was something that was really appealing to me also about the public relations program. I could work full-time all day. I could attend with a tuition discount, and then I could spend my night studying.
Wow. Yeah, that's perfect. And again, I love that idea of not everyone doing college the exact same way.
Absolutely.
Make it fit for what you need. So you are currently a creative writer at A&E Design. What exactly does that look like on a daily basis?
Well, essentially, I have my dream job now in that I get paid to write full time. It can happen. So really my role involves a myriad of creative writing assignments, and it's both internal creative writing, but also external for our clients. So A&E Design is an architectural and design firm based in Billings. That's where our headquarters is, but there are 4 other locations across Montana and the Pacific Northwest. And so we complete graphic design and architecture and interiors. And so my role is everything from copywriting, beer can package labels to social media campaigns and advertising and in-house media pitches and all sorts of things.
Okay, so it might be something really short, or it could be something very long. Interesting.
Absolutely. They keep it interesting for me.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. So I saw you also went back and you earned a master's degree or a graduate degree from Georgetown. Mm-hmm. How did all of that come about? Did that have an impact on you becoming a creative writer, or is that just kind of an addition? How does that all work?
Well, in my undergrad, I was required to complete an internship, as most students are, an internship or a capstone, some kind of practical application of your learning, right, in a career field. And I had a faculty mentor who said, Tiffini, if you want to write, you're going to need some experience aside from, having a grade of an A on a paper at the college level. You need to be published and show that you can survive in a very cutthroat writing environment. And so she encouraged me to put the feelers out there and try to get an internship with a local publication. I was really lucky that editor-in-chief at the Billings Gazette, which is one of Lee Enterprises' major newspaper organizations here in Montana, there are 5. He thought that I was probably more eager than skilled, but you know what? He wanted to take a chance on me, and he did. And I proved myself. And so in a week, he actually offered me a full-time job. And so it was like, wow, I could leave higher ed and write and really get some publications under my belt. And at that time, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do after graduation. So I thought, let's jump out of higher ed. At that time, I'd been there for 6 years and try a new industry. So I managed about 6 different publications for the state of Montana, copywriting all sorts of different things from advertorial to feature stories. And that just naturally gave way to wanting to continue education in some way. I really discovered at that time that I have an insatiable thirst for knowledge, and Georgetown offered an opportunity for me to continue public relations, but they really emphasize ethics and writing in their program, so that attracted me to it. And I just knew that at that point, no matter what continuing ed I pursued, it would just set me above my competitors in the journalism field or anywhere where I'd want to use writing professionally.
So can I assume that was an online program?
It was, yep.
Okay. Yeah, that would be quite a jump to have gone then to Washington, D.C. and so forth. So you've also had a variety of other roles prior to your current role. You've been, like you said, an assistant editor and writer. You've been a social media manager. You've been a marketing coordinator. How have all of those experiences contributed to help you get to where you are today?
Well, I think something that just continues to be a theme in this conversation, Brian, is right. I had no idea what I wanted to do, right? I just wanted to write, and I wanted to learn, and I wanted to just engage in as many mentorship opportunities that I could and grow my skill set and find my niche, if you will.
Right.
But everything in marketing and public relations really allowed me to do that in some capacity or another. So I was able to generate some exceptional networking skills and develop my communication skills and get published a lot, which makes a big difference in terms of you applying then for a full-time writing job.
Right. You talked a little bit about networking there. What role has building those relationships played in helping you throughout your career?
I would say that every role I have landed in my professional career is a direct result of a relationship that I've built. And that started at high school, asking instructors like you for letters of recommendation to get into college. And at the college level, you're getting recognized by your professors for your aptitude, and they're recommending you for internships, which give way to career opportunities. And if you excel in your career, you'll naturally get involved and generate some really good relationships there where you'll have people calling you up, when you are ready for the next move. And that's something that I've been really fortunate to have. There's also a lot of who involved in the professional world. So that's set me above other people who are probably more experienced in writing too, is that I have really solid relationships with people in newsrooms, right? So if I'm going to pitch a story, I know who to call. I don't have to go through some of the traditional channels. And if I want to nominate our organization for the great work we're doing for an award, I can reach out to people who can speak to that and really influence those decisions. So networking is just imperative as you're skill building and building your career.
So as you did all of that writing, working at the newspaper and continuing beyond that, I'm sure there were times when you sent something to someone that you asked them to publish and you were rejected. And I think that's something that, as high school students, sometimes they're afraid to take that risk. I guess, can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the rejection you faced and how you overcame that to continue to write and reach where you are now?
Sure, absolutely. Well, rejection is part of it, and it's part of growth, and it can be scary. So any of you out there who are thinking about not wanting to take that chance because it is scary and rejection is plausible and inevitable at some point in your career, I urge you to please try anyway, because the good thing about rejection is that it sparks growth and you can learn something from that. So I remember I was always really academically inclined, even if I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was getting A's on my papers and things like that. And when I had this editor accept me, because like I said, he thought I was eager and enthusiastic, but probably not skilled. I had no idea what AP style was, for instance. So I was all proud of my first feature story, and I go to submit it, and it's coming up for a magazine, and it comes back to me and looks like it was slaughtered. I think there was more red pen on that than there was black ink. But you know what? It was humbling for me to be in a position where I realized, wow, well, I'm not actually that good. But it allowed me to also key into what I could improve on, and then I set out to do that. And I think that's probably what ended up getting me the job offer in the end, is that I pushed through rejection to show that I wanted to do this bad enough and improve.
Obviously, you shared your stories with other people and so forth. Have you done anything else with personal branding to make other people aware of your work, or has most of it pretty much just occurred in the stream of work?
Well, again, having a number of different career experiences, I think organically your work makes its way around a little bit, but I, as a PR professional, really am invested in personal branding. So it took me a lot through my undergraduate career to really realize, like I said, who I wanted to be when I grew up and what that meant. And then set myself apart from other people who were also getting the same degrees and living in the same city and things like that. And so I did some work on myself and created a brand positioning statement and figured out what my own personal ethos was, and then set out to demonstrate that in everything that I did. So I do have a website, I have social media. In all of my application materials, they list my personal branding statement. I'm a media and marketing maven and lover of alliterations. But it speaks a lot to the fact that I love media, I love marketing, I'm a communicator by nature, and the written word is my driving force.
How do you see what you are currently doing helping you achieve the purpose that you feel like you have in your life?
When we very first broached this conversation, Brian, I said that my goals back in high school were to help people and to be creative. And I think that I've demonstrated a pursuit of those goals actively in everything that I've done. And I've really landed in a position where that melds in my day-to-day. So A&E, even though I may not directly be out building these structures, I'm helping A&E Design tell a story that gets us the clients who are dedicated to things like sustainable design and access to high-tech education in rural Montana, and preserving our history through national park structures and things like that. So I know that my work is translating to improving my community in some way, which helps me satisfy that personal need to help other people. Plus, I'm involved in my community in other volunteerism ways and things like that. But it also allows me to be creative. Every day is a little bit different, and I get to really flex those writing muscles and stay apprised of what's new and interesting, and do fun things with my writing every day.
Good, good. So a few fun questions for you. What's the biggest difference between Northwest Ohio and Montana?
By far, the landscape. There are mountain ranges everywhere, and I still keep in touch with some of my old friends and family from the Van Buren area. And I always have to laugh. I invite some of my old friends to come skiing up here because you've never been skiing in Ohio. I don't know what you're talking about.
Are the people the same there as they are here? Or is it even people are a little different?
Well, I think everywhere you're going to encounter people who are a little bit different, but here, even in Billings, which is the only city per capita in all of Montana, it's the last best place. People are very, just the culture here is very much about preserving Montana being the big sky country, this treasure state, right? So everybody loves Montana. They live and breathe being outdoors and loving wildlife and the wilderness. And I think that that's something that I didn't encounter in Ohio. Mm-hmm. We don't have ponds in our backyards here. We have enormous mountain lakes we hike 6 miles up to, you know. So that's a little bit different in terms of people. We've got some grit.
What is a popular food in Montana that we've never heard of in Northwest Ohio?
You've probably never heard of Rocky Mountain oysters.
Okay. Unfortunately, I have, but maybe there's some that haven't. So why don't you tell us what those are?
Well, you can Google it, but they are deep fried cow testicles. So branding and ranching is a big thing out here in Montana, where agriculture is still the #1 industry. So they try some very unique things. We've got chicken gizzards, and liver is still a big thing out here. But I think it's interesting too, because out there we had mulberries, which is something nobody's ever heard of here, but here we have huckleberries, which a lot of people back east say that they've never heard of. So okay. That's another one.
Interesting. Now, have you ever had the Rocky Mountain oysters?
I have never been interested in trying them. I guess if they were in front of me, I wouldn't say no to have the experience, but
Right.
I'm not seeking it out.
Okay, I can understand that. Other than Montana, is there any other place out west that we should all visit if we get the chance someday?
I have to say I have a love affair with Oregon. About once a year, I do go out there. I fly into Portland from Billings. It's a direct flight. And then I love spending a couple days in the city and eating all the food. I mean, food that you've never even imagined existed. There's just such a plethora of options. And then taking a drive out to the coast. They've got some nice mountains there too. And the coast is just beautiful. A lot of really great towns. I mean, if you've ever seen the Goonies, they have Astoria is where Goonies was filmed, and Haystack Rock is just down the sea line. So it's a really beautiful place if you get a chance.
So as we get to our last question, I'm wondering, is there anything that you wish someone had told you in high school that you now know?
If someone had told me my senior year in high school that I could make writing into a career, my brain would have gone to some abysmal picture of 40 years struggling to make ends meet and then hoping to leave a legacy posthumously, right? But I would say that it is absolutely possible to do what you love what you do, and make a living at it. That's something that if you have aspirations where you're really musically inclined, or you love to dance or something, don't let the harbingers to success say that you can't do it. You certainly can, but I would encourage you to take the time to find out what it is that you absolutely love, even if that means not going to college right away. Figure out what you love doing, and then find a career that allows you to do it, not the other way around.
Tiffini, I greatly appreciate you sharing your experiences, and I love that it was a little non-traditional. I think that's good for us to hear that and see that and recognize that, not everyone goes directly to 4 years of college and so forth. So I want to wish you good luck, and very glad to see Van Buren graduates going on and doing some great things. So thank you very much for sharing with us today.
Thanks, Brian. Go Black Knights!
Thank you for watching this episode of the Interviewing People CareerCast. And to be sure you don't miss additional career information, please click subscribe so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember, the best part about Mondays is interviewing people.